You good?
Good.
All right. I got my safety goggles on. That means this is going to get serious. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Hey! Greetings, fellow makers. Welcome to the shop. We are live from the shop here on our Twitch channel. And you've got both of us today. I'm Bill.
I'm Britt.
And what are we doing today, Britt?
We are doing the $20 lightsaber challenge.
This is a challenge that our PropTarts, our wonderful fans with their own Facebook page, put together this challenge for one another to do a lightsaber build for less than 20 bucks. The idea was to go get all the parts from one store. Was that it?
Yes.
You've got the rules too. We got a whole list of rules here just to make sure we do it legit.
Yeah, well, most importantly, this is all about having fun.
Yes.
And there's no real prize, except they might make some goofy trophy or something, but it's more just to have fun and try something new.
Yeah. We're just trying to have fun here.
We're just trying to have fun.
We're just having fun.
Just having fun.
So we went and got a bunch of stuff. We went to the Goodwill nearby, and it was a treasure trove of goodies.
Yes, we got some footage of our rummaging around, and they didn't kick us out while we were filming, so that was good.
That was really fun.
Yes.
We got a lot of stuff. We have some things like Nerf guns, which these were, this was $2, $2, and I had to put batteries in it, but the light still works.
Yeah, and the challenge is only for the lightsaber hilt. If you
Right.
want to be an overachiever, you can do the blade.
Yeah.
We didn't get this for the blade. We got it for, there's a cool
Blinking light.
rave mode, so you can have it blink slowly, or have it stay on.
Yeah.
So we might use that light, take this all apart and use that light.
We've got a bunch of other stuff over there. Again, more like a flashlight thing. We got space guns. We've got an enclosure, I think, a waterproof enclosure for a camera with all kinds of cool buttons and knobs and stuff on it. So we have a whole ton of goodies there. This came to well under $40 for the two of us. We figured we'd double the people.
Yeah,
today,
we spent about $30, and some of that was cereal flavored chapstick.
That's right.
So that cut into our budget a little
Cinnamon
bit.
Toast Crunch. So there we go. We have all this stuff. We can only use basic tools. I've got this little rotary tool right here. I'm not even using my big guy. So this guy has a bunch of bits. We've got all the wonderful, glorious bits right there. We've got like super glue, some sandpaper. That's about it. I'm not going to use the bandsaw as much as I want to. Not going to use the drill press.
Yeah, no lathe.
No lathe,
Yeah.
which would make an awful easy lightsaber.
So we're getting into this a little late in the competition because we just got back from a vacation. This competition goes until the 17th of February, so it's almost over. You could still participate, even if it's over. We would like to see your lightsaber builds. People have already, the PropTarts have already made a ton of really cool lightsaber builds from this. If you use the hashtag #GoPropYourselfLightsaber, it's all one word, you can search online and find all of the builds. They're also linked in the PropTarts Facebook group if you are a part of that. And it's really neat to see all the different ways people have done this. I know Evil Ted live streamed his build of the lightsaber. I know Sam from Bio Cosplay did as well. So it's really neat.
Yep, go check out, we'll have links down below. Check out the PropTart page and share your creations. We're ready to get started here. We're ready to start fighting over who gets what pieces. I've already claimed this one because I picked it out.
Yep.
All right, here we go. We started sorting through a bunch of the things and picking out what we like, and here's what I'm sort of kicking off with. I've got this thing here mostly because it lights up. I don't know if I'll use this part, but I will save it just in case. Probably going to just take this apart and see what I can salvage for the electronics. I really like the negative space on this guy. It's a little chunky, a little bit bulky, so I may trim it or maybe only use half of it, which is pretty cool. This is some sort of Nerf target thing for something. I'm not really sure, but it lights up and makes sound. So I may try and use as much of this as possible because it's got a belt loop on it, like that. And again, I may chop it, maybe combine it with this somehow. I'm not quite sure. And then with other little smaller parts, we got these. These are from IKEA, actually. Like picture hanging stuff with lots of little metal pieces in there. And then this thing is a waterproof enclosure for a specific camera, which is ironic. It's only $5, but when you were buying it, these things don't come cheap. Yeah, for a Canon thing. So it's got all these really cool buttons on it, and I'll see if I can liberate some of those. Some of these knobs and stuff. I think it'd be really cool if I could keep most of that functionality and have moving parts on my lightsaber. We'll see. I say that now, but who knows 2 hours from now when I'm hating life and deciding to abandon all that.
I have a Buzz Lightyear laser gun! It has a lot of really interesting parts on it. I think I'm going to base my whole design around this transparent blue tube. It doesn't currently work, but I want to put some kind of light inside of it, and this will just be in the hilt, so it'll look like it has a crystal in it. I think that is my main goal. This is cheating a little bit. We got this for like $1. It looks like one of those build your own lightsaber kit things, but it does have a light in it, sort of. It kind of works. Oh, there we go. Wow, wow, wow. But I might just chop off a chunk of this and use it, because there are some really cool detail bits on here. Like if I hit this with some paint and some silver highlights, it would really bring all of those out. This is just neat. It's a grabby hand thing, but it has a lot of really neat details on it, so I might take an arm of that and use it. We got some sports tape, which works really well for handle wraps because it has adhesive on one side and you can just wrap it around the handle if we want to go in that direction. And some more Nerf guns. I'm not sure which of us is going to use these guys, but we need some parts. There's a lens in this one for that little laser sight. That might be cool to have. So we'll see. Also, a shower head that has some cool knurling on it. So that might get harvested for a piece.
All right, time to start cutting?
Yes.
All right, time to start cutting.
I'm going to unscrew all of this, so that'll be a while.
We've made some progress here, started taking apart this Nerf gun. I want to use just the electronics from this flashlight thing. You see there's not very much in here inside the container, but I do want to take all of these parts, just the lights, this little board, there's a button for it to turn it on and off, and then the batteries, which are down here. But before I start, kind of messing with all this, I'm going to hot glue all of these connections, all of the little wire bits in here, because these are done with the thinnest, cheapest wire possible and as little solder as possible. So these connections are not very strong. And if I start messing with that, they will break. They will break off. Guaranteed. Whoops. So I'm just putting a generous amount of hot glue on all of the electrical connections before I start taking this apart.
So I think what I'm going to do is there's a speaker that I don't plan on using. And then there is a board that has all the controls for the different sounds I guess the speaker does. What I really just want is this guy, and it looks like there's 2 LED leads going in there. I think I'm just going to chop these off and try connecting them to some either AA's or AAA's, seeing if I can just get any power out of that. I don't even need a switch. I'm gonna make it so when the batteries are in place, it's just on forever.
It's a good plan.
But there are also 2 extra LEDs that are just on leads that I can chop off and use if that doesn't work. I've got the parts of this gun cut off and the wires I want to use, but I don't want to use this battery holder. It's kind of gross and corroded. So I've started taking apart this guy. It's got a nice AAA battery holder. I'll probably end up taking this apart and using it. But I also discovered that the chamber where you put the Nerf ammo is this gross sticky stuff that we think used to be a gummy bear. So some kid jammed candy in the ammo thing, and then it got sent to Goodwill.
Delicious.
I don't plan on using this in my
Oh,
build.
there's no telling how long it's been there. Made a bit of progress here. I cut this barrel down, and I want that to go on this flashlight thing, kind of like that. This thing has lights in it. I tried really hard to make them work, but it's not going to work. This is the flashlight thing, and I will use this. And it will blink if I wanted to. So I will incorporate that. So that's all going to go in there, and I think what I'm going to do is replace these batteries with this battery thing, cut that off, and attach this there, and then mod it a little bit. So that's kind of where I am right now. I've got a little emitter housing that'll go on the top of this thing, and the light will go through there, and it'll look really cool.
I took the handle off this little Nerf gun guy, and I really like how the batteries sit in here. I'm going to connect that straight to my Buzz Lightyear tube and have some little lights glowing in here. This handle's pretty comfortable, and it has a little switch in there that works, so I'm just going to keep it, put this back together. I hacked off the trigger. Where'd he go? This guy. I took off this guy, I don't need him anymore, but I'm going to keep this handle together, and I'll cover it with some greebly bits and things so it doesn't look too nerfy. And then I took this guy apart. I'm just all about taking apart the space guns today. To get to this guy, this was the barrel, and chopped part of this off. It's going to go something like that, and there's a hole in it so I can feed my wires through, and it'll go in like that. So this is going to be the bottom part, and then I'm going to put some kind of housing that goes around this light up part, but some of it's going to be hollow so you can still see it, but it'll probably be held like that.
Made some more progress here, ripped some more things apart. This is the battery holder for our lights, and I replaced the battery section on this thing, and that's going to glue right in there. So I did some Dremel work. And I think I'm just going to hot glue it in. I'm just going to tack down enough hot glue so that it stays, and then I'll go back in and kind of backfill everything to keep it kind of where it ought to be. But, a little extra there. Careful, Bill. Don't burn yourself. Okay, make sure this is facing the right way. Kind of push it where it ought to go. And then I'm going to check from the top. I do need to be able to get at that screw to get my battery out. And now there's some gaps there. I'll probably see if what I can fill those with later. Maybe some greebles or just hot glue to make it look like a weld. But for now, I can go in and just kind of support anywhere that it's touching down so that it's not going to float away on me. Like that.
I've got my wires hot glued together through this little bit that was the end of this gun. I used some flush cut nippers to make a kind of little trench here where this is going to fit together. And my lights still work, so that's a plus. I think I'm going to just hot glue this right on here. And this will kind of friction fit right in there. And I might use this barrel on top of here as the emitter. But before I attach that, I want some kind of bulk for the lightsaber since it is a little bit thin. And it'll only be in some areas so you can still see this like warp core tube thing going on. That seems like it's going to be a pretty good length. I just need to add something here.
The electronics are all installed here. I just need to make the button hole on the other side. So I drill a hole in there, and I'm using this tapered bit to slowly make that wider until it just barely fits this button here. It needs to go in but then catch on that lip. So I'm just slowly widening the hole with this tapered bit. Oh, it's just a little bit proud. I'm gonna just sand that a little bit, and that'll be good to go. And that's where my button goes.
I have this little lens piece that came off the smaller Nerf gun, and it fits pretty well in here. It's kind of a snug fit. I do like that it is a darker colored plastic because once this is glued in place, I won't be able to paint it. So when it lights up, it won't be bright orange. I also have this guy, which I think is going to be the emitter end of my lightsaber. And I can drop this other piece right in there. So when you look down, you're just going to see a lens bit. Sticks out here. Looks like it's going to glue in there pretty well. It's a little bit loose. These pieces still want to come apart, so I'll have to glue those together. Let's see. See if I can do this. Yeah. So I think I'm just going to take my file, sand this guy down, rough it up a bit, make it a little bit smaller, and just put a bunch of CA glue on it and hold it in place. Super glue works pretty well on this ABS-like plastic. Alright, and I'm going to glue it together forever. So I want to make sure this is lined up and symmetrical on both sides. Let's see, yeah, like that. Boop. I glued on some plastic support pieces on this guy, and I'm going to take one of these little grabby machine pieces and just hot glue it right on there to add some thickness to my hilt. And I'm just gonna put a bunch of hot glue in there and see if it holds. I can always add more too, because there's gonna be some gaps. Right there. Right there. Kind of goes on like that. Some of this will probably be covered up later with some little greebly bits. So I want to make sure this won't come off. Oh, get in there. Alright.
About ready to put this top part back together here. And these are strips of plastic, part of the plunger from Brit's gun. I cut into strips, and that'll diffuse the light. That's the plan anyway. And then this will all go together like so. And the light will go in here, and blink like crazy. Like that. This side part here will get covered here, but you can see that nice red glow in there. And then in the end of it, wow. And that's where this piece is going to go on there. I got to hog all that out and get it all ready. So that's where I stand right now. So I need to do some attaching and gluing and screwing and cutting. And we'll get there. We'll get there. To cover up these gaps over here, I've trimmed up the handle of this lightsaber, this toy lightsaber kit, and I got this thing here. So these guys are just getting glued to cover that. For this one here, I'm just going to use a bunch of hot glue to kind of hold it in place in all the spots, and then drop it in place. And I think I can put a little more hot glue in there. Liberal application of hot glue. Make sure everything is mostly centered. And to get that to dry really fast, or cool really fast, I have some can of air held upside down. Like that. We'll do the same thing on the bottom here. Like so. And yeah. And do the same thing. Like that. The sides here, I think I'll just use a little bit of good old-fashioned super glue. Try and fill in a bit of that gap of super glue. Brit's throwing plastic at me.
Sorry.
Spray it with a little bit of accelerant, like that. Let the super glue cure all the way.
I've been noodling away at these guys for a while. I feel like I need more interesting bits on this direction of the lightsaber. So I hacked away at some areas here, and I think I'm going to put these here. Adds a little bit of depth and interesting bits. I found that these flush cut nippers are really good for trimming this plastic. You can just snip away at it and hopefully not fling it across the room. These little cutters we normally use to trim off the supports for our 3D prints. This seems to be another great use for them. Alright, let's see if that fits better. Yeah, it's pretty good. This one goes here. Goes there. Now let's add a bunch of hot glue into that guy to keep it in place.
So here's the two halves of my lightsaber. I glued in the piece up here that's kind of a diffuser. Got my switch working perfectly, and I can light it up so that lights come through there and lights come through the end. I think I'm ready to glue this together, and I'm going to go quick and dirty and just put a crap load of hot glue in there and just mash it together. I think that's what we're going to do. So here goes. Cross your fingers. Let's practice. Let's see. This is going to go, I think, like that. All right. Cross all your toes. Cover this in hot glue. Just all over the place. Let's see how it goes. We were going to go kind of like that. Oh yeah, there's a good, feels like there's a good amount of surface contact in there. Once it's kind of where I think it ought to be, I can backfill. Oh, I turned the light on. Good, that still works. Kind of backfill some of these areas with a little more hot glue. A lot of these will get covered. So that's that. Time to work on some more details and just sort of tidy everything up a bit.
I want to start covering up some of these exposed cut-off pieces. I have this little, I think it was another space gun piece that I tried heat forming with my heat gun. It seems to heat up just nicely. Just want to make sure you're gentle about it. You don't want to heat it too much so it burns. And I'm starting to kind of push it into shape here. That looks like it'll work. I want this, mainly I want this piece to cover this hole here, so I want to make sure that fits there. And if this ends up not working out, I can cut this hole out because it is getting pretty warped, not too symmetrical anymore. That part's going to look really neat right there. Nice, now I have to heat up this part and bend it into shape. That's super weird how that bends over. I'll just keep working at this until I get it the way I like it.
Some more details here. I'm adding these covers. There's like this sort of gap bit there. So I'm just covering that with just bits and bobs here. This part here I cut off of one of these guys, and I'm just going to hot glue that right over there. And I think that looks great. So yeah, bring on the hot glue. We're at that stage of the build where everything just gets bathed in hot glue. Like that. Careful not to burn myself. And on it goes, just like that. Just need something to cover that, and I'm calling it pretty good. Added some more little detail bits here, just at the sort of gluing random stuff to my lightsaber phase. I'm pretty happy with this so far. I think I'm going to call it. The last thing I want to do is get rid of this Nerf logo. It's a dead giveaway that it's not a real lightsaber. So, got a little file here. And I'm just going to file until the logo's gone. All the way down to the plastic. I don't want, just because the paint's gone, doesn't mean the logo's gone. So, little trademark thing, you can go away. No more logo there, a little bit of logo there. Keep it going.
I have to cover up my N-Strike Elite logo, and I could sand down this whole thing, but I like the texture on it, so instead I started taking off some of the pieces of this underwater camera housing. It has lots of really cool knobs and bits on there. So I'm going to glue one on this side, one on the other side, just like that guy. Just hot glue it right on there. So I'm a crazy person. Blurp.
here is the finished assembly. What we've made so far. Your light still works?
Well, yeah, but it's not nearly as bright as yours. That's all I got. Oh, I don't have rave mode on mine.
So that's the assembly part. Up next is going to be painting. Here we go, day 2. Jumping forward real quick. We've primed everything. What'd you do with yours, Britt?
I masked off the area that lights up and sanded everything. And then I hit it with a gray Rust-Oleum primer.
And I did something similar, but I used a black and a brown. But now we can start painting, so we're going to jump to it. To get started on mine, I'm going over with just some black acrylic paint here and a paintbrush. And there's some spots where I clearly didn't get the coverage I wanted with the spray paint. So I'm just going in and touching that up with the black so that it all looks nice and uniform. I don't want this to look orange or yellow at all. It's not really the color scheme I'm going for. So anywhere that those colors sort of peek out really kind of breaks the illusion, so to speak. So just doing a little bit of touch-up work and getting this guy ready for some colors.
I'm starting with some Liquitex Heavy Body Rich Copper. I'm going to make this guy and this guy copper. So far with one coat, it looks like I will have to go back over again with another coat. I can still see some of the gray through it. It's not too bad though. This stuff covers really well. And since it's really high pigment, it doesn't have a lot of water in it. And it doesn't leave as many brush strokes. So you can really just lay it on there pretty quickly and get a nice even coverage.
Now I'm going over this guy with a gunmetal. This is a Tamiya acrylic paint that I've darkened. It's a dark gunmetal. And really what this is doing is adding, you can see here, just sort of a metallic sheen. It's still almost black. It's very dark. But I'm going to kind of base coat everything with that color as if this was made from some sort of dark metallic metal thing. So I've just got a little bit of this here. And I'm just covering these spots that were already black. I'm just giving them some nice general coverage, a nice sort of wash with this metallic. It's almost like a graphite, very, very dark. So this will be my sort of base coat, and then I'll go over this with a couple of other lighter metallics and some colors.
Some burnt umber. I think I want to stay away from adding blacks, so I'm going to add a lot of dark browns, a lot of copper. Maybe some gold, I think I'll do next. Maybe the top part will have gold on it. We'll see how it goes. That's about it. I did get a second coat of the copper on, and it does look a lot brighter now. I really like that.
Very good. Next step is silver for me, so I've got that graphite color down on just about everything, and then I'm going over with some of this Tamiya chrome silver to add some nice contrast and details, like on this part here, this handle part here. Right now I'm just covering these little greeble parts here with a little bit of silver paint. And I'm just picking areas that I think look like it'd be cool if they were brighter, just to have some visual interest and contrast everywhere. And I think I will then pick a second color, like maybe a blue or something, to do a little more augmenting on some of these smaller details. But for now, just like this little bit here, just to kind of call out that nice detail there. That's what I'm doing.
I've done 2 parts so far with the antique gold. I'm starting to think more about how I want the layers of paint to work. So this part was gold, and now I'm changing it back to brown, just to kind of match this brown area. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the handle yet. I want to stick with more metallics, but I might go root around and see what kind of darker metallics we have. But yeah, I think that's looking pretty good. Pretty good for base colors. There's a lot of detail in here that's hiding, a lot of knurling and little indents, and once I do a black wash over that, I think it'll really stand out and look pretty sweet.
Made a little bit more progress. Now I'm adding just some little color accents. I've got some gold and some blue, and a tiny bit of red. And these are meant to just really add a little bit of interest to a couple of spots on the lightsaber, just to break up some of this silver. Like that. Little spot right there. With the world's crappiest brush, no problem. And then maybe some of these sort of rectangle looking things on the side of the thing here. You know, the things, the greebles, or nernies.
I found some of the Tamiya bronze, and it's a really kind of dark, shimmery bronze, so I started brushing that on the handle. I think I'm going to start using this in some of the recessed areas. I brushed on just one quick layer up here to see how I liked it, to give it some different levels of color, some contrasting bits. I do have I'm being a little bit messy with my paint, but this is going to get weathered, so it'll be fine. And I can always touch it up later with other coats. So like this little triangle in here, since the brown I put on is a matte finish, and this is all shimmery and a little bit different color, it'll make this stand out.
I have here some masking fluid. This is just a liquid latex. And I've just been applying it to the edges here, anywhere that you see that's kind of light. I've just been using this toothpick to add a little bit there. That'll dry into a rubber, and when I paint over it, once that dries, I can peel this off and get this nice chipping effect. So I'm just adding a little bit wherever I want the paint to chip off, just like that. Next step here is to add some color. I put my masking fluid down, and now I'm just brushing red over that spot. So I've just got some of this heavy body paint. This is the Liquitex Heavy Body Red, Cadmium Red, and I'm just brushing over it. And I use the masking fluid, that latex, because it sticks really well, as opposed to using like mustard or petroleum jelly or toothpaste or something. And I could airbrush this, but we're trying to keep with the spirit of this challenge and not use an airbrush. So the masking fluid seems to be holding as I brush over it. It's not lifting up, which is nice. So the red is kind of dry. I'm kind of doing this in a hurry. But it's dry enough that I can go and peel and pick at the latex masking fluid that I used and peel away the red back down to that dark graphite metallic color. And that gives me this really cool looking chipped paint effect, like so. This is a super fast and easy way to get some really basic paint chip effects, like that.
I decided to go with gold for these little knobs on either side. This guy, I think I'm going to make blue. This part here that's masked off is blue, so I figured having a little knob button thing that's blue would also look cool. We have this clear blue Tamiya acrylic. So I put a little bit of silver down of just the normal Liquitex to try and make it look a little colder, since I put copper down. And I'm going to try and put some of the blue on top of it. And since it is transparent, this might take a couple layers, or I might just leave it the way it is. Let's see how this goes. Just a teeny little bit. That looks pretty great. I really like the way that looks. I mean, I'm not applying it great because I have shaky hands, but I can always touch it up later. That looks like it's going to be sweet.
So that paint is different than the normal paint because it is, in fact, transparent.
Yeah, so if you...
So that's blue, right?
Yeah, if I put this down on a transparent... It's this guy.
Yeah, so this is the normal blue, and that's the transparent blue. So to me, other companies have their own options.
If I put this down on a transparent visor or, like piece of transparent acrylic, you could still see through it, probably. I don't know how well it would stick to something you didn't sand, though. I haven't tried that.
We've got some dry brushing going on here now. This is more of that silver paint, and I've just been doing very, very light passes to add some sort of edge weathering. I don't want it to go overboard too much. So basically I just take my brush, whoop, get a little bit of paint, just a tiny bit of paint, brush as much of it back into the bottle as I can, and then I take my paper towel and I wipe even more of it off, so this is nearly dry. And then I really want this to look just kind of scratched and kind of call out those edges, so I'm just very gently adding just a whiff of paint, like so. Like that. And even that's a little heavy, so dry brushing. Just putting it anywhere that I think that this would have like some scratches. Just to break up, like this area is all just one color, maybe be able to break up the surface a tiny bit. Just like that. That's enough. I don't need to go overboard.
My clear coat is pretty much dry. I'm going to start adding some of the darker accents, so do my weathering. I'm going to do the light highlights afterwards, because I think I'm going to be dry brushing those just over the raised up areas. So the water mixable oil paints are great for just smearing on everywhere and then wiping off. I'm not quite sure how they're going to react to the clear coat I use, so I'm just going to try it in one spot, like maybe right here. Try wiping it off and see if anything else wipes off with it that I don't want it to. I'm just using the black here. I'll mix some brown with it later. Give it a little bit of variation. Alright, wipe that off. That looks great. Only the water mixable oil paints is coming off, and the clear coat and copper are both still on there. So now I'm going to go over the whole lightsaber with that, with just a mix of the browns and the blacks.
Started doing some weathering on here, but before I do all of the weathering, I want to put this last finishing touch on, which is some tape. This is some medical tape we got at Goodwill. I've sort of wrapped it up into this thin rope sort of thing, and I tucked it away in there. And I want to wrap it around. Be careful not to completely cover this battery hole so that I can actually change the batteries. I should also probably, I just sort of wedged that in there, I should probably super glue that so it doesn't run away from me. I don't want to cover the battery holder too much there, but I can twist this around, kind of go over the button there. That's the power button, like that. And then I'll go under the switch there. I'm kind of twisting it as I go, making it into more of a string or a rope sort of thing. And then I think I want it to like tuck right in there, so I'll just trim it. Right there. And tuck it in there. Now, this is all sticky and tacky because I twisted it up a bunch, so I think I want to make a nice thin strip of this to cover it, and then that part will just kind of show through. So make sure I have enough. Like so. Just wrap it over that, holding it down and keeping it from being all sticky. There we go. A little bit of a handle wrap there. Alright, time to dirty this thing up. I've already started doing like a pass of a rust color. So over here I have just some acrylic paints that are really watered down. Some burnt sienna for the first stage here. I'm going to do a couple of passes on it, but the first one is just a rusty color. And I'm just kind of like jabbing it everywhere. You can see that the tape is really going to soak a lot of that up as we go. But this is just spots where like rust and stuff are going to accumulate on the part. And it doesn't have to be totally covered. I'm just kind of going crazy with this. And we'll go back in and do like a darker black and a brown pass and maybe throw some other colors in there, like some blood or something crazy. But I'm really just throwing down some wet sloppy paint. Make sure we get maybe some darker colors on this this rope here. No part of this rope is going to be clean or white. So I'm just going all over that thing with, and the wetter the better, because it'll really soak in that water. So just like that, getting everything as dirty as possible, and then taking your paper towel and cleaning most of it away. Most of it, but not all of it. And that's leaving, you know, a lot of that grime behind. You can tidy it up as much as you want. So we got a nice dirty looking thing. Going for one more pass of grime on this guy. I've added my rust layer, and now I'm doing just like a dark layer. Again, more just sort of watered down acrylics. I've got some black and some brown. And doing more of the same. Just selectively adding where I want that to go. And then wiping a lot of it away. For these little details on this part, I want to make sure I get a little bit of paint down in those crevices so that they're a little darker and they'll just show up better. So those guys in there. Fill those in, and then I can wipe away my paint. And those deeper parts there just get a little bit more contrast, which is nice. They'll pop a little bit. The rest of this can just get wiped down.
I'm almost done with my saber. The last thing I'm doing is bringing back some of the highlights with a chip brush. So like for the copper, I just load up my chip brush, kind of wipe a lot of it off. I did not need this much. And then just lightly whisk over the highlights. Just a little bit. It was so shiny. And I did the same down here, but with gold, so it brought out some of the gold on the bronze. I think that looks pretty good. I really like this part that was brown. I should have just done that bronze. At this point, they look pretty similar, but that's fine.
Ba-da-da-da. All done! Hooray! All told, since we live streamed it, we know how long it took exactly. Yesterday we took about 4 hours, I think. Wait, I have this written down. 4 hours and 44 minutes yesterday, and then 3 hours and 22 minutes today. So that's how many hours we spent on our lightsabers.
Does it light up?
It does light up. It still lights up. It blinks.
Oh, I have a
So I can
mask
direct
on
traffic, or I can just leave it on, like so.
Wow. I just have two little lights in mine. That's all I got. And they only turn on when I use this trigger.
This was really fun. Again, this was a challenge our PropTarts put together. We spent less than $20 each on the materials, all from Goodwill, and spent 2 days putting them together. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you're looking for a fun challenge, this is the sort of thing you could do. Go find some found objects or buy something. Give yourself a budget, and then go crazy and build something really cool. This was a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys join us on the next live stream. In fact, that's the wrong one. There it is. In fact, you guys can. If you head on over to twitch.tv/punishedprops, you can give us a follow over there. Sign up for notifications so you know when we go live. Usually it's Tuesday, but at noon. I almost said noon specific. Usually it's Tuesday at noon Pacific when we go live in the shop, and then we have our Q&A Thursdays at 5 p.m. again on the Pacific Coast. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you all in the next one.
See you later.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe so you don't miss any of our new weekly prop and costume tutorial videos. For more goodies, head over to our website where you'll find blueprints, tutorial books, articles, and more. We also have a second channel for our Q&A show and extra behind the scenes videos. Thanks again, and happy crafting.